A misfit is one who's uncomfortable with his or her surroundings and is seen to be disturbingly different than others.
So like Daniel said, we're in our final week of Misfit. Have you guys enjoyed this series? Have y'all liked it? Have y'all enjoyed it? I'm a little upset it's almost over. I've really enjoyed writing it. I've enjoyed working on the messages. I just feel like it's been a great series for us for summer, just kind of calling us out as believers and things that we need to do to be misfits. So just to start out real quick, a misfit, just where the series comes from, just a reminder. A misfit is somebody who is not comfortable with this world. It's also somebody that acts or behaves differently apart from others. So it's somebody that's seen as an outcast or someone that's different. And if you haven't been here the past 2 weeks, just a quick recap. Week 1, we talked about where the wild things are. We took the kids' book, Where the Wild Things Are, and we kind of use that as a reference that the wild things of this world, that we have to go where the wild things are. Guys, we have to go, as believers, we have to go and face these things in the world that we're not comfortable with, the things that we don't like. We can't just hide in the shadows. We have to chase after them. We have to take action against the wild things. And then in week 2, we talked about, okay, now that I know I got to take action against the wild things, how do I do it? And so we talked about the fact that sometimes it means you got to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you got to jump out. You're standing on the edge of the cliff. You see what God wants, and you got to jump. And we looked at the reference of Peter, and when Peter walked on the water, that God had used him for that. God had given him something to do. He had asked God, hey, I want to come to you. Can I walk on the water? And we related that to our own lives, that when we make the jump, sometimes it's not what it intended or what we thought it would be. And once we're free falling, we're going down, we just get scared and we lose sight of Jesus just like Peter did. And so he ends up falling in the water and kind of losing sight of Jesus. And Jesus kind of calls him out, like, why did you lose faith in me? And then us as believers, we have to do that as well with our own relationships. We have to make sure that no matter what is on the water, no matter what we're seeing, that we keep our eyes on Jesus. And so this whole series, I've told you guys, we're called to be the Messiah's misfits. It's actually in Scripture. I told you, think of it as some holy biker gang, right? Like we're the Messiah's misfits. We're out there causing trouble for God. But being a misfit means that we're not scared to face the wild things. We're not scared to go where they are. You're not scared to take a leap of faith. You're not scared to go against these things or to do what God calls you to do. And that's what it means to be a misfit, to change the things in this world that we're not comfortable with. And we have to do that as believers. We have to change this world because you guys know, just scrolling through social media, just watching the news, I mean, this world has gone nuts. This world has gone crazy, from everything that's happened in Orlando to everything that's going on with the presidential election. Like we as believers should look at this and be like, what is going on? What is happening with this world? It's just nuts. It's crazy, and I'm not comfortable with it. So what can I do to change that? So what I want you guys to do real quick, before we jump into tonight, I want you guys, everybody real quick, set your phones down, set your notes, all that set aside. I want you guys, for me real quick, I want all of you just to close your eyes, lean your head back. Don't be the person that falls asleep, all right? But I want you guys, everybody in the room, close your eyes, whether you put your head between your legs, whatever it is, put your head back. I want you to close your eyes and envision this for me, just real quick, okay? So here's what I want you to envision. Envision that you're going somewhere. Envision that you're going on a trip somewhere. Just let's think it's early in the morning, you gotten up, you get into the airport, so you're there, you know you've got a destination to go to. I want you to picture that. Picture seeing yourself. You get out of the car, you get your bags, you get everything you need, you walk and you get ready to go check in. You know, you got to go wait in that long line just to check your bags. That's like your first line of like 10. You're standing there, you smell the Chick-fil-A, all you want's breakfast. You just smell it and you're like, I just wish this would go and be done. So you're sitting there, you go through, you get your bags checked, you get them in, and they give you your ticket and they tell you which way you're supposed to go to. Then you got to go wait in that like 3.5-hour security line. So I want to imagine you guys are standing there, right? Like you're standing there in line, you're smelling somebody that didn't put enough deodorant on, you're smelling somebody that put like way too much cologne and perfume on, and you're listening to the kid cry behind you, you're stuck in this mess. You're just standing there. You finally get in, they check out your baggage, they know there's nothing going on, and you get through, and now you're in the main area. You got to find your gate. You got to find where to go to. There's people running around, scurrying everywhere. Maybe you go into the bookstore, you get yourself a book, something to read, get you some gummy bears, some snacks, something to have on the trip, and then you get finally where you find your gate. You find where you're supposed to go. And you guys get there, and you get in and you sit down. And you just kind of wait. Maybe you pull your phone out. You're picking a playlist, some music. Maybe you're playing on your tablet. You're doing something. You're just kind of relaxing. And then they finally call your number. They finally call, okay, boarding gate so-and-so, time to get on the gate. So you know it's your time. You're waiting for your turn. You're waiting. You know your destination. You know where you got to get to. And then finally they call your area, your seat number. So you get up there and you stand in line, you're waiting, and you finally get to where the flight attendant is, and you got your ticket out. And you're standing there ready. She's about to take your ticket. And I want to imagine that you guys just slowly, you pull it back. You pull your ticket back. You let the next person go. You let the next person go. You let the next person go through, and you take your ticket back because you're nervous. You're nervous to get on the plane. You're nervous to see where it goes, and you get scared, and you just step aside, and the door closes, and you're stuck. You don't even make it on the plane. So you guys can go ahead and open your eyes. What I want you to envision, the reason that you're doing that, envision that plane as your journey, right? Like you know where you got to go. You know where you got to get to, but you're scared. You're scared of what lies ahead. You're scared of what you got to do. You're scared of the turbulence that's going to be on the plane, so you don't get on it. And you just let it go by. You let person after person after person pass you by. We can't be scared to get on the plane. We can't be scared to go on the journey that we have. Imagine that journey is one that God told you, I want you to do this. I want you to go. This is what I want you to do. But I want to challenge you guys, don't be scared of what's ahead. Don't be scared of what you have to do. Don't be scared of what your friends and family would think. Maybe they don't agree with what you feel like God has told you to do. Maybe they don't agree with your lifestyle. Maybe you come from a home that they don't even like the fact that you go to church. But you feel like this is what God called you to do. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of what your friends think, what they say, or people that maybe they even aren't your friends, just people that you deal with every single day. Don't be afraid to get on that plane. So, have you guys ever heard of Dr. Seuss? You know, great theologian. Like, yeah, he's not just a kids book writer, author. He's a great theologian. Like, if you read his work and his poetry, his stories, like the creativity is insane. Like, it's nuts to see the words that he puts together. And so Dr. Seuss uses this book, a children's book, to teach us what it means to go on a journey and where we're supposed to go. And I'm sure you're thinking in your head, you already know what book I'm talking about. But he's talking about, oh, the places you will go. And I want to read an excerpt from it that I took that kind of talks about what we're supposed to do and what we're going to experience when we go on a journey. And here's what it says in the book. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang, and soon you'll take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups will happen to you. Can you guys imagine that even through a kid's book, a storybook, Dr. Seuss understood that we're going to experience turbulence in our lives. We're going to be scared. I'm here to tell you guys it's not an easy life. You're going to have bang-ups. You're going to have hang-ups. You're going to have times where you're going to be like, I can't get out of this. You're going to have these things that you deal with. But what I want you to understand is you're crafted to do this. You're crafted to deal with life. You're crafted to handle whatever life throws at you because God has chosen you. God has chosen the journey that you're on. You're a misfit. If you've chosen to be that, if you've chosen to have that relationship with God, you're part of the Messiah's misfits. You're here because your journey is to change this. I've said this to you many times before, and I will continue to say it until the day that I die. You are a generation that is going to change this world. You are. Don't let anybody ever tell you any different. Just think about the fact of this. You're not only the most connected generation ever. You're connected through phones. You're connected through computers. You're connected through everything. Cars are connected through everything we do. Not to mention that, but guys, when I was in high school, we didn't have AP classes. We didn't have all these things. Half of you in this room will probably end up taking some type of class. You're already in high school taking college courses. That just shows that you're a generation that's going to change the world. You're a generation that's doing things that's bigger than ever before. So you're a generation who's going to change the mindset. And you have more power than even those that my age or older than me because you have a voice. People listen to what you say. So remember to use that. Don't just stand on the sidelines. Don't just stand there and watch it go by. Know that you guys have power. I want you to embrace that. Romans chapter 12, the whole chapter. If you ever get a chance, I want you to read that chapter in Romans chapter 12 because it talks about the gifts that God has given us. And it talks about how important the gifts that we have are in our lives. And what Romans talks about is that God has given you a gift. God has given you a specific gift. And how we honor him, how we honor God is to embrace that gift. Use that gift. How many of you have ever kind of gotten, you've received or you've even given somebody a gift before and you always see them use it? Like you gave them a shirt, you bought them something, whatever it is, and you always see them using it. And it makes you feel good inside, knowing like, hey, I did that right. Like I chose the right thing. I chose something they like. Imagine that's you. Imagine that's your relationship with God. Like when you use the gifts that God has given you, He loves that. So embrace that. Use that gift. Guys, you can use it to serve here at Cultivate. You guys know that what we do here in student ministry, we want you guys to serve. We don't want it to be adult-led. I don't want it to be Adam-led. I don't want it to be Emily-led. I want it to be a student-led student ministry. I want you guys to be the ones that are serving. Find something that you connect to. A few weeks ago, y'all heard Travis, and he talked similar about this and said, if Adam ever gives you a broom, like take it. Like that's what he wants you to do. That's what he wants you to serve. My thing is, if you find something that you want to do and you want to serve, we want you doing it. If you want me to hand you a broom, I'll hand you a broom. Like, hey, I need you to vacuum the lobby after we're done. I will gladly give you a vacuum so I'm not the one having to do it. But I want you to find your gift. I want you to do what you want to do. If you get joy from standing out in the lobby and just meeting new kids that come in because you have this energy and this aura around you, then do that. That's your gift. Use that to serve. If you're somebody that you love computers and you just love clicking things and you want to see the screens change, you want to do that, or you love music, use that gift. Use that to use that. Guys, embrace the gift that God has given you. If you have no idea what your gift is, that's why we have Roots. Our whole Roots is designed to help you find your gift, help you find what God has given you. You have a test at the end of Roots 2.0 that shows you this is more of what you're built for. This is your personality. This is what you're here for. You have to think too, guys, when you use your gift, even something as simple as serving here on a Wednesday or even on a Sunday, you have no idea what's going to come from it. Most of you guys have no idea who he is, but every Sunday we have a guy in the back named Kevin. Kevin's our media team leader. He handles all of it. Kevin is probably hands down the quietest person you'll ever meet. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. His entire career, what he does is he works in media. He does that. His entire story literally started from an egg at a church Easter egg hunt. That he found an egg. They started going to the church. That's where it started at. And he, as a little kid in middle school, wanted to do media. And that's where it started at. And that's what he does all the time. So you have no idea, just even using your gift now, what it may come from, what it may build. It allows you to find your calling. Just like Dr. Seuss said in the book, take flight. Get on your flight and go. So the past 2 weeks in the Misfit series, we talked again about where the wild things are and how to take the leap. And maybe you're in your mind like, okay, great, Adam. You've told me all this. You've told me I got to face this. You told me what I got to do. You told me where I got to go. But what now? How do I get started? What am I supposed to? How do I know what God has called me to do? How do I know what my gifting is? And so what I want to challenge you guys with, what I want to give you to find what God has you is you need to be looking in your dreams. You need to look deep inside your dreams. Your dreams are important in your life. So think about that. And you don't have to yell out loud, but what do you guys dream about? And when I say dream, I'm not speaking just to what you dream when you go to sleep at night. Like you're like, hey, I was a vampire hunter somewhere out in the snow. Like not that kind of thing. Like you're just like had the weirdest dream in the world. Like you were fighting snowmen and all this kind of stuff, something like that. I'm talking like, what do you dream about? What do you dream about now? What do you dream about with your life down the road? Where do you see yourself going? What is it that you think about in your own life that when you're caught daydreaming in school, what are you daydreaming about? What is it that you're thinking about? Where do you see your dreams taking you? Do you even see if there's any importance in your dreams, or is it just you saying, hey, I have some imagination? And that's just what I'm thinking. Guys, in high school, I was a dreamer, and I was a big dreamer. Now, to understand my dream and what I wanted to do so badly with my life, you have to understand, most of you know, I went to high school in Japan, okay? We had one movie theater on the base, guys. One movie theater. That meant, and I don't mean like one that had like 10 screens. I mean we had one screen in one building. And so when new movies came out, it was like they showed one movie a night, and that was it. And that's how my dream got started, was from high school when I saw a movie that I was in love with. I couldn't imagine, like I wanted to be that person in the movie. And just so you guys know, I'm going to like age myself when I tell you this, but I wanted to be Paul Walker. I wanted to be Paul Walker from Fast and Furious. Y'all probably have only seen it on TV. Like I sat in the movie theater and saw the original. Now there's like 19 of them. Like I saw the very first one in theater. Like everybody in high school was there. We were hanging out. See, when I lived in Japan, cars were everything. Cars is everything we did. I had the nicest car I ever had when I was in high school than I do now. I had a Honda, which to you would look like a Honda Accord now, but guys, it was tricked out. Like I had it lowered. Okay, I had like some shiny rims on it. Like I had like 22s on there, like, and I had like some like low profile rims on it, tires. I had an exhaust on it. My windows were tinted. I had like a stereo system. Like when I rolled up to church on Wednesday nights, you knew I was there. Like I was bumping it. That was what I wanted to do. Okay, I was excited. I wanted to be. So when I saw that movie, all I thought was I want to be Paul Walker. Like I want to be that guy. Like when I left the movie theater that night, all I remember doing is like peeling out in the parking lot. Like I was like, yeah, I'm Paul Walker. I'm ready to go street race somebody in my dad's car that I somehow tricked out, and it looks cool. But that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. My dream when I was in high school for that was to have what was called a Skyline GT. Like that was the coolest car there was when I was in high school. They weren't allowed in the States. You couldn't have them. They were too dangerous. Like I wanted the Rice Rocket, the one that was really annoying. Like it doesn't actually sound like a cool car. It sounds like somebody wound up a toy car. And it's just really loud because of the muffler. That's what my dream was. That's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to be. And so to me, that was kind of a preview of who I was, a preview of who I wanted to be and who I wanted to see myself. And so when you think about your own dreams, I want you to imagine it as kind of like the background of the back of a book. Like when you pick up a book and you want to know if you want to read it, that's what your dreams are. It kind of explains who you are. It kind of explains what you want to do, where you want to go, what your story is. And really that's what misfits are made of. Misfits are made of dreamers and things that happen. And so when you dream about how things could be. And when you dream about how things could be, that's what makes us uncomfortable with this world, because we see in our minds, hey, I could change that. Hey, I could make that different. That's where I could have that at. So tonight, I want to look at a famous dreamer in the Bible that is a misfit himself, and that God used to change his life through dreaming and through the dreams that he has. So if you guys want to turn in your Bibles, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 37. We're going to be here most of the night. And this person that we're looking at is Joseph, okay? Joseph in the early Bible that we're seeing is a 17-year-old shepherd boy. And so when we start the book and we see this in Genesis chapter 37, that's how we're introduced to him. It literally starts out saying that he's a 17-year-old shepherd boy. And on top of that, guys, Joseph is a tattletale. Like, hands down, he's a tattletale. Like, Joseph is nothing more than a 17-year-old shepherding snitch. Like, he snitches on his brothers. That's what he is. You remember, I don't know if you ever heard the saying, but they say snitches get stitches. Like, write that down because you're going to see this. Put that in your back pocket for later in the story because we're going to see that, because that's who he is. He tattletales, he snitches on his brothers, he tells everything that's going on. So that's what we find. Now here's the thing though. Because he is a tattletale, because that's what he does, he has favor with his father. Okay, he has favor with his dad. His dad loves him. He loves the fact that he tattletales on his brother. How many of y'all have a brother or sister that you know right now, when you heard the word tattletale, you're like, oh, that's the one in the family that tells all the time. Like, you know, like I can see half of y'all in the room are pointing to us, so like, you know that's you, right? Like, you're the one that's always tattletaling. Like, you have that brother or sister. Like, you have the label in your family as the tattletale. You know if something goes wrong, not to do it around that sibling, because somehow mom and dad are going to find out. Like, it's going to get back to them because they're going to tell, just because they're trying to what? They're trying to earn favoritism. They're trying to be, they're trying to kind of like brown nose a little bit and be the one that mom and dad love because of that. So that's who Joseph is. So I believe at this time he's a little bit immature, okay? How many of you would say like tattletales are kind of immature, okay? So that's what I kind of look at. I think Joseph's in that place in his life because Joseph is nothing more than that 17-year-old shepherding tattletale. But you guys don't understand, like, God's already got big plans for Joseph. God's already got this massive plan for him. Joseph just can't see it. Joseph has no idea what's ahead of him as he sees there. Now, the Bible shares again that Joseph is his favorite, that Joseph is his father's favorite. And the reason that I keep pointing that out is I think it's important to notice that the Bible and Scripture talks a lot about how Joseph is the favorite of his father. The reason I think that's important is because I think you guys need to think about the same thing, is you're also the favorite. You're also the favorite of your Father, which is God. God is our Father. You need to understand that you are also his favorite in that as well, just like Joseph was. Just think about the fact, guys. The fact that you're here tonight is no accident. Whether you think it is or not, you're like, Adam, I made the choice to come here. Or you can say, hey, my parents made me come here. Like, that's no accident. Like, it was planned. The fact that you're here tonight is no accident. And the reason I say that, because I know right now there's some of you in this room that have no idea what your gift is. You have no idea what you're going to do with your life. I mean, I know some of you even have probably thought this today. You have no idea what your plan is in your life and how you're going to be used and how God's going to do it or not, or what you're going to do at all. You may think to yourself, like, I have no gifts. I have no gifting. I have nothing that can be used. And that's what you think of yourself. You're sitting here and that in this room. And you may think, okay, before I take the leap, I need to understand. Like, even being here, guys, is a leap. Being here is a leap toward what God has planned for you. Because it started out as something as simple as just coming on a Wednesday night, and maybe you need to hear that. Maybe in your mind, you need some affirmation. You need to be told, hey, what I have matters. Who I am matters. My dreams, my life, all these things matter. So you need to hear that because, guys, you need to understand that God has chosen you. God has chosen you. God is a God that came down to this earth and chose us. We don't have to go to him. He comes to us. And so God has chosen us. And so I thought it was important to just point out the fact that when he says that Joseph is his favorite, we're also our favorite of God. So because he's his favorite, here's what ends up happening. How many of you guys have ever had where you know instantly, like in your mind, like when you have a brother or sister that gets something and you're like, oh, that's mom and dad's favorite. Of course you got that. Like, how many of you have had that time in your life where like your brother or sister got a car but you didn't get a car, or vice versa, or like you got money and they didn't get money and you're like, oh, you're the favorite. Like, you're the favorite. And like, there's no denying it. And what's even worse is if you ever had that mom and dad that's like, hey, listen, you're really my favorite. And then like instantly they turn around and be like, no, you're really my favorite. And they just keep kind of like going back and forth and kind of telling each other. That's how Joseph is in his life. But Joseph is literally the favorite of his family because he is. His father gives him a big, elaborate gift. And he gives them, to you, what you would probably think is, Adam, that's probably the lamest gift I've ever gotten, and I probably would think my parents would hate me. And this time in the Bible, that's a big deal. And what his father gives him is this what's called a coat of many colors. He gives him this amazing, beautiful, elaborate the coat. And what that shows to him is that you're the favorite. Like, his brothers are seeing this. He has three other brothers that are watching this go down. So not only is he a tattletale, not only has he gotten this elaborate coat from his father, but he's a dreamer. And so his brothers have this envious like hatred toward him because of who he is, because he seems like he's got it all together, because he's all perfect. And so if you're in Genesis chapter 37, if you look verses 5 through 9, Joseph ends up seeing what God has planned for his life. He sees what he has laid out, because what ends up happening is Joseph has these like crazy, like ridiculous dreams, like these huge dreams. Now, these dreams that he has are out of this world, especially for like a 17-year-old. Like, it makes no sense. And so let's look down in verse 7. We're going to look at two, because he has two different dreams that are just ridiculous. So here's the first one. In verse 7, it says, we were in the field tying bundles of wheat together. My bundle stood up, and your bundles of wheat gathered around it and bowed down to it. So you have to think, if you're a 17-year-old and you have some weird dream where your bundles of hay are being bowed down to other bundles of hay, you have no idea what's going on. Like, first of all, you're like, I don't have anything to do with hay, so why are hay like bowing to me? Like, this is just weird. And so then in verse 9, a couple verses down, he has a second dream. Here's what he says, he says, listen, I had another dream. The sun, the moon, and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. So obviously something weird's going on. Like, all these things are bowing to Joseph. Like, why are all these things bowing to him? Like, why would God give Joseph these crazy, ridiculous dreams? Why would God give these weird dreams to a 17-year-old shepherding boy that is nothing more than a tattletale that's hated by his entire family? Why would he get that? Why would he have that? Why would he have those dreams? Here's what I want you to know. Those dreams are God's dreams. God gave those dreams to him. When God gives us dreams, God's kind of allowing us to see into the future. Like, if we have a dream from God or something that we feel that God's put on our heart, he's kind of giving us a prequel to what's coming up, to the end, to the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we have dreams, just like Joseph, we see he doesn't understand. Like, obviously God's saying, hey, this is what's going to happen to you one day, but he has no idea what's happening in the middle. He has no idea what's going on, but all we know is that if we follow God and chase after, there's going to be greatness. If we follow that and see. So what about you guys? How many of you guys have been dreaming? You don't have to raise your hand, you don't have to do anything, but think about it. How many of you have been dreaming? Dreaming about something, whether it's something you want to do in school, whether it's something you want to do with your life, whether it's something you do want to do with family, whatever it is, how many of you guys have been just dreaming about it? And if you have been dreaming, how many of you have been scared to approach that dream? How many of you have been scared to chase after the dream that God has given you because you're scared of the turbulence that comes with it? You're scared of getting on the plane. You're scared of getting on there because you have no idea what happens. You're scared because you don't know what's going to happen in the middle. And see, the thing with that is that you guys have to be dreaming big. And you want to be dreaming things that are scary. If you're dreaming things that are scary, then you're dreaming big. If your dreams don't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. If your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough, because it means you're dreaming things that are easily achievable. You know that, oh, I'm going to dream things that are right here. I can grab that easily, instead of dreaming things that are on the top shelf that you know we're going to take some hard work to get into. So one of the things in Scripture that we don't see is that God never really tells Joseph to tell his family about his dreams, but Joseph decides to share his dreams with them. Which you have to think in your mind, like, all right, Joseph, you're already hated by your brothers. You're already been given this coat of many colors. You're a tattletale, so that's why your brothers hate you. So now, on top of that, you want to share this weird dream with your brothers about something of theirs bowing down to something of yours. Like, you got to understand, like, you have that friend that's trying to nudge you, like, dude, you're digging a hole. Like, you got to stop. Like, chill, don't share that. Joseph doesn't have that. Joseph's by himself, so he keeps sharing that. Here's what he says. So we're going to look at verses 5 through 6. This happens before his dream. He says, one time Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. Joseph said, listen to the dream I had. So in verse 7, he shares that dream with him. But as we keep going down in verse 9, actually in verse 8, his family gives him a hard time. Like, his brothers are picking on him. He's just made it worse. They hate him. They don't like him anymore. So they're continuing to pick at him, because now that he's saying, like, oh, I'm better than you. You're going to bow down to me. So as you look in verse 9, he shares the other dream with them, but this time he shares it with his whole family. And it even pulls his dad inside. Here's what it is in chapter 37, verse 9. It says, then Joseph had another dream. He told his brothers about it also. He said, listen, I have another dream. I saw the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowing down to me. Joseph also told his father about this dream. His father scolded him, saying, what kind of dream is this? Do you really believe that your mother, your brothers, and I will bow down to you? So he's calling him out. He's saying, you really think we're going to bow down to you? Even his dad, who has favoritism, has that. And I know sometimes, like, when you have a dream, when you feel like there's something you want to do in your life, like, there's excitement that comes with it. Like, you're excited to share that with others. Like, you want to tell other people, this is what's going on in my life. This is what I think. This is what I feel. But what I want you guys to understand is sometimes you have to be selfish with your dreams. You need to protect your dreams. You need to protect them for a reason. The reason that you want to protect your dreams is because, guys, when you go around sharing, posting, snapping, Facebooking, Instagramming, whatever it is, your dreams, like, to everybody to see, all you're really doing is looking for affirmation from people, instead of looking for affirmation from the one who gave you the dream, instead of looking to God, who said, this is what I want you to do. So when you chase after those things, when you post those and put those out there, that's really all you're doing. You're just seeing how many likes, how many comments, how many shares. That's all we're doing. So sometimes we have to keep that to ourselves, because we want to be mindful of that. Just remember, guys, you don't need to have people co-sign on something that God's already signed off on. You don't need to have that. You don't need to have people say, oh, yeah, you should do that. Because here's the flip side. If you share your dream with somebody and they tell you not to do it, but God's telling you to do it, then you've got to listen to them instead of listening to God. So remember, don't go looking for a cosign when God's already signed off on what it has. You want to chase after those things. And so here's the other thing with that, is that sometimes you got to be mindful. You got to remember, when you share your dreams with people, even your own friends, you got to be careful who you share your dreams with, because maybe you heard from God. Maybe that's awesome. You've been praying, you've been doing this, but what if you have a friend that's been praying to God and listening forever, and they're doing everything, in their mind, they're doing everything they're supposed to. And they're like, why you? Why do you get to have a dream from God? Look at Joseph's brothers. Scripture doesn't actually talk about what kind of people they are. What if they hate Joseph because they've also done the same thing? They're trying to pray to God. They're trying to get these things. And now they come to find that you get all this. You get these things. Why is it that you get it? So it creates that hatred. And sometimes when we share those things with our friends, and we share those things with people that we don't know what they're going through or what God is and isn't doing in their lives, sometimes it can sow that jealousy and hatred into their own heart, just like his brothers do, which is one of the reasons why they hate him. So as the story continues, Joseph's, he's a dreamer. He's got that coat from his dad. We find in Scripture, we see Joseph just kind of at the house with his dad. He's in there because his dad tells him, hey, I want you to go out into the field and talk and get your brothers. When I see this, is that Joseph almost has some type of a lazy feel to him. He's at the house instead of being in the field. So what I want you guys to realize is, when God gives you a dream, when God speaks to you, you still have to work for your dream. You still have to work for it. You can't just feel like God has given you something and now you're going to be able to do whatever you want and you can just sit back and God's going to get you what it is. But God, you need to work for the dreams that you have. Just because God reveals a dream to you doesn't mean the job's done. It doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean that you can become lazy and stop working. So in the scripture that we see that Joseph's done this. He's shared with his brothers. He's told them they're jealous, they hate him, all these things. And now he's going to see his brothers. So his brothers are filled with that jealousy and that hatred. They decide that, you know what, we're going to get rid of Joseph for once and all. Like, I'm done with him. Like, I'm sick of always dealing with him. So we see in chapter 18, or in chapter 37, verse 18, here's where his brothers kind of plot to kill him. Here's what they say. They spotted him off in the distance, and by the time he got to them, they had cooked up a plot to kill him. The brothers were saying, here comes that dreamer. Let's kill him and throw him into one of the old cisterns. Now, a cistern back in the day, that's just nothing more than a well. So they're saying they're going to throw him into the well. They say, we can say that a vicious animal ate him up. We'll see what his dreams amount to then. So you can see right then and there, he's kind of sown anger and hatred into his brothers because he's told them all these things. And they're like, you know what? Let's see what your dreams amount to now. So as they continue in verse 21, it says, Reuben, which is one of his brothers, heard the brothers talking and intervened to save him. We're not going to kill him, no murder. Go ahead and throw him into the cistern out here in the wild, but don't hurt him. Reuben planned to come back later and get him out and take him back to his father. So he had a plan to do this. He was just going to kind of throw him in there and scare him a little bit. And it finishes in verse 23. It says, when Joseph reached his brothers, they ripped off his fancy coat he was wearing, grabbed him, and threw him into the cistern. And the cistern was dry. There was no water in it. Maybe you guys right now in your life, maybe you relate to Joseph. Maybe you relate to where you are in your life. Maybe you feel like you're just kind of been thrown into the ditch. You've been thrown into the bottom of a well, this empty, dry well. You've just been thrown to leave there. Maybe that's where you are. Maybe that's where you are right now. I want to let you guys know that you need to understand that God's arms are long enough to reach to the bottom of that well and pull you out. If you feel like that you're at rock bottom, you did everything God asked you to do, and now you're stuck at the bottom of this well, understand that your plans are still intact, that you still have a life that God has it planned for you. I want to go ahead and just ask our band to come up, and as they do, I just want to kind of finish up the story and finish up where Joseph is. So Joseph's at this place in his life where he's been stripped of his coat. Like his brothers took it off, they ripped it, they've torn this amazing coat that he's gotten, and now it's gone. But you need to remember that if you're just like Joseph, just because you're stripped of your coat doesn't mean that you're stripped of your calling. The other side to that is you also have to remember that coat that he got from his brothers, or that coat that he got from his dad that his brothers took from him was a gift. If you feel like you've been stripped of your gift, it doesn't mean that you've been stripped of your gifting. So just because somebody takes something away from you doesn't mean it's gone, doesn't mean it's not there anymore. You need to understand that when you see that when it comes to gifts. Understand that it's not gone just because of that, because no man can ever push down what God has taken from you, or God has given to you. No man can take that from them. So as we finish, just real quick, to make a long story short so you can kind of see where it's at. So Joseph, he's taken out of the well. His brothers sell him. They end up selling him into slavery. There's a caravan that comes by. They sell him into slavery. As they sell him into slavery, he ends up becoming and making an impact on the master that he sold to, the person that keeps them, the one that he's the slave to. He ends up being and making all these, just making all these impressions on him. He ends up making such a great impression on this guy that he puts him in charge of everything. He puts him in charge of his house, everything he has. He even tells him, everything you have is everything I have is yours, and you can keep it. So he puts this huge impression on this person because of the life he lives. Well, he also somehow ends up impressing the master's wife, and so she has this love for Joseph, and she's lusting after Joseph, and she's trying to pretty much put the moves on Joseph in the story. And we see that Joseph, being the man that he is, tries to turn this woman down and says, no, you're my master's wife, I cannot do this, no. And she ends up being upset and mad with him and tries to grab at him and rips his robe. And when she does that, she uses that against him. And so she takes it to the master and says, look, he tried to do this, he tried to have sexual relations with me, he did this and that. And so now the master hates him, he's mad, he's upset, he ends up throwing Joseph into jail. So Joseph has been beat up by his brothers. Joseph has been thrown to the bottom of a well. Joseph is left there to where his brothers finally get him out. They sell him into slavery. When he's in slavery, he's on the top of the mountain. He's loved by his master. Then he's at the bottom of his life again, where the lady that is married to his master tries to falsely accuse him. Now he's thrown into jail, and through a series of events that we see out throughout all these chapters of Genesis, somehow Joseph rises again to the top and is serving the king of Egypt. And through another series of events, through everything that happens in Joseph's life, he somehow now is able to serve this king and serve this king for what he has. And when he serves this king, when the king dies, Joseph gets to become the king of Egypt. And you know what ends up happening? Joseph stands at the top of the mountain and watches all these people end up bowing down to him, just like his mom, his dad, and his brothers. They have no idea that he's still alive. They think he's dead. They have no idea who he is. But their life, the dream that God has given him, the dream that God gave him years and years and years ago, he's now standing at the top of the mountain watching his family bow down to him. Watching all these nations bow down to him, because now Joseph has become the king of Egypt through a series of events, because Joseph stuck with God. Because Joseph believed in the dream that God gave him. Because Joseph listened to the dream that he had, that God gave him. He didn't know all these things were going to happen. But what Joseph did know is that we have these up and downs in our life, because it shows us that we still need God no matter who we are. We have to still chase after God and have who he is, because we need him, because we're going to have times in our life that we're high, and we're going to have times in our life that we're low. And I want to let you guys know that's exactly where you're going to be at, especially at your age. You're in the exact same time frame that Joseph was at. You may have dreams, you may have ambitions, you may know what you want to do with your life, but you have no idea how you're going to get there. You have no idea what's going to happen in the middle. You're probably surrounded by people that tell you your dreams don't mean anything, your dreams aren't going to amount to anything, that you can't be what you want to be. I'm here to tell you today that if you listen to exactly what God tells you to do, you will be the one standing at the mountain while others bow down to you. Because you've done to what God has asked you to do. He's walked with you through the beginning to the end, and you followed with him from start to finish. You've chased after God because you chose to get on the plane. Oh, the places you will go. Oh, the things that you will see. Oh, the people that you will affect. Oh, the things that you will experience in your life. If you choose to be one of the Messiah's misfits. If you choose to listen to God when he tells you, if you choose to face the wild things, if you choose to stand on the edge of the cliff and jump, not knowing what's at the bottom, and if you choose to dream big things and not be scared of them, and chase after everything that God has given you, your life and everything that comes will be ordained by God. And God will show you that he can use you to change this world. God will show you that he can use you to change this entire generation that you guys are. I want to ask you guys today, just go ahead and bow your head and close your eyes for me. All heads bowed, all eyes closed. What are you dreaming about? What do you dream in your life? What dreams do you have right now that people told you will amount to nothing? What's something that you're going through right now that you feel like you can't get out of, that you're stuck at the bottom of a well? You can see the way to the top, but you have no idea how to get there. You want to know how you get out of that well? Guys, you have faith in God. Because sometimes the faith in our lives, the jump, that's where our faith comes from, is trusting that God will catch us before we hit the bottom of the well. And I want to challenge you with that today. I want to challenge you to be different. I want to challenge you to be uncomfortable with this world. I want you to challenge you to not sit by and be okay with what we see on TV or what we see on our social media, or what we see on Twitter and all these things. I want you to not be okay with that. I want you to chase after those things. Go where they are. Change what they are. Guys, all that starts is with a relationship with God. That starts with telling God, hey, the old me is dead. The old me is gone. I want to rise anew in you. God, I want you to give me dreams. I want you to give me ambitions. I want you to give me things and use me to the best of your ability. Guys, it starts with that relationship. And it starts with opening your heart to God. So if you're here and you're ready to make that commitment, ready to open your heart to him and say, God, here I am. My heart is exposed. Throw away all that's old and make me new. I challenge you to pursue that relationship with God. Guys, there's no special words. There's nothing special you got to do. There's no steps to it, guys. It's simply just having a one-on-one conversation with your Father, the one that finds favor in you. And you say to him, hey, I want you to be a part of my life. I want you to change what's inside. If that's a step you're ready to take, you're ready to chase after that, I challenge you today. Guys, all heads are bowed, all eyes are closed. I challenge you just to put your hand up today and say, Adam, that's me. Adam, I'm ready for that relationship. Guys, that's awesome. Hands all over the room. I see your hand. I see that one. Guys, that's a commitment. That's something that you're doing that's going to change your life forever. God, we continue to thank you for the students that are in this room every single day. And God, I pray that you put dreams in their minds and dreams in their hearts. And God, I pray that you use these students to chase after those dreams. Because you've dreamed big and amazing things for us. And God, I ask that these students that receive that they have those dreams, that they have a relationship with you, that God, they see it and they chase after it. And that you use them to change this world, change this generation, change the mindset of this world that look to us like it's gone completely and absolutely crazy.